Yo,
Welcome, everyone.
that
Sir,
kicks
how are
ass,
you?
man. I love that intro, if I do say so
Dude,
myself.
you crushed it. And Roman, kudos, Roman. Awesome job, man. It's so cool in the way it fits. We're in
I
the
think
Southwest.
I'm gonna stretch it out a little bit longer, I think. But yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Well, what we'll do, let's do a 30-second or something where we do an outro too. You'll give you some opportunity to be creative on the end too. But we're going to
Perfect.
do the intro for both. We're starting to get professional, sir.
Is
There's
the
like an
Matrix
intro.
thing like too much? Does it fit? I don't know. Did
Yeah,
I
let
ask
us
you that
know.
before? I don't remember.
I think it looks great. I think it fits awesome because, like I said, it's kind of like has got this cool, just chill vibe that we're gonna go with. So,
Yeah.
welcome everyone. Once again, we've got my friend Drop the Mask Pod over here, Jason.
Yo.
So, Jason, what's going on, my friend? It's been a week,
Hey, I'm
and it's
good,
been a
man.
week.
It's been a week. It's been very busy, but I'm doing great. I've been being driven crazy by these tariffs, man. I just don't. Okay, I'm leaving like a 1% chance that there's an upside to this. That maybe Trump has this plan and he's trying to get people to get rid of all their tariffs. But man, when has one of his plans worked? When has, because he doesn't telegraph his plans, right? He will just say, "Oh, this is the best thing ever," no matter what. But other people will come in and make excuses for him, right? Like, oh yeah, no, he's just doing this because every other country has tariffs on us and he's going to get them to go away. But like, people have always done this, going back to his first term, making excuses for him, and it never works out the way that they say it will, right? Like the COVID stuff is a big
100%.
example.
100%, my friend. Like this thing's driving me crazy. So, first of all, welcome everyone. We're starting to ramp up. There's already people already on today versus last week we had to warm it up a little bit, but welcome. We're going to talk about masculinity. There's a lot to talk about that. Promise we're going to get to that, everybody. But Jason had to bring up tariffs. This is an absolute ridiculousness, and the numbers that they're coming up with that they think they can generate from these tariffs, half a
Mhm.
trillion, a trillion, 2 trillion, and you're sitting there like, hey, why do we need to bring in money? Because we spend money. How do you fix anything? You
Yeah.
cut spending. That's every tax is government spending. That's what it is, whether it's a tariff, income, whatever. And these people they're bamboozling you. You think that money saved is to give you money back or to have your lower taxes? You're not getting 5,000 in your pocket. You're not. You're
Hmm.
just not going to get that. They're going to give it to the other tax cut or some other break and spend it somewhere else. It's not coming back to us. And that's the issue. It's not how we're generating revenue. It's literally how much we're printing over our means.
Yes, absolutely right. By the way, let's introduce Mark Sean Poles, the Not Conscious podcast host. Hey, buddy.
Hi.
Didn't mean to skip over you. This has just been
And
driving me
we
nuts, man.
and we are
If
by
by
whiskey,
whiskey, the new brand,
the new
it's real
brand.
good.
So
But you nailed it,
from
man.
last week, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
The Trump thing, man. Like people have been making excuses like, okay, we're going to get rid of the IRS. We're going to get rid of income tax and this is going to fund the government. Well, have you seen your taxes go down? Like how long do we have to put up with both these high tariffs and income taxes, right? That's one thing.
And the Congress has power of the purse. So once
Hmm.
again, he can't cut income tax under emergency, but he is implementing these tariffs under emergency,
Yeah.
right? So like that's how he's usurping the Congress. But ultimate power of the purse is Congress. But yet again, still no declaration of war as we move battleships to Iran. Like still, I
Yeah.
mean, it's craziness, right? All
Yeah.
around.
But then he also says that he wants no trade deficits, which is just fucking retarded, man. Like, this is the stupidest thing that I've ever heard. Like, I'm at the point where I'm starting to think that Kamala Harris would have been better than Donald Trump. Like, this is bad. This is
Whoa,
bad.
whoa, 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 whoa. Really? You're there
Yeah.
already. Man.
Yeah.
But she would have probably done a price control thing, right? Which would have been its own
She would have
problem.
done all kinds of horrible things, but it would have been kind of status quo. This is upending the cart when you I would say
unnecessarily.
you don't have a plan to fix it. Like,
Right.
you don't have a follow-up. He's just like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this because I'm Trump and people are gonna negotiate with me and I'm the best. It's just
Right.
like, what is your plan? Maybe he has one. Like I said, I'm holding out a 1% chance that there's something he's working on that will work out for the better, but I really don't think so.
And that's so funny is like they're talking about, oh, it's going to bring industry back here. Is like, do you know how long it takes to build a building? You are in semiconductors, you're in chips and stuff. You know what
Mhm.
TSMC is, right? How long has
Mhm.
that building been built? Still being built? They're off 74 in Cave Creek. It's like been there for a long time, still being built. They don't even have the people ready for it. They don't have the personnel to fill it. It's gonna be a
Oh, it's
problem. And
running.
that's not, it's not that we can't do that, but to
Mhm.
your point, when we have elected officials for 4 or 8 years, you
Yeah.
can't have long-term plans. And
Yeah, that's a good point. Right.
I'll use a weird Kamala thing. I'm not a Kamala person and I'm not a communist. But when you look at China and you look at their long-term goals and how they slowly and meticulously go, everybody, we're doing this to you, but we're also doing this for you. You're going to suck it up. And ultimately it's better for everyone. And they
Mhm.
have 20, 30-year projects to to dam up things or to they've got crazy stuff. So I don't agree with how, because you and I are liberty minded, but if
Mhm.
we're gonna have tyranny, couldn't we at least have decent structured good tyranny,
Yeah.
like with a good infrastructure?
Yeah, that's kind of the Hoppian argument, right? Like, monarchy might be better in many cases than democracy for that reason, because there's no long-term thinking ahead. People have to make action things happen right now. They want short-term results, and that is not what is good for people. So yeah, maybe something good will come out of this. Uh, I'm really not convinced. I have seen, I think Taiwan and Vietnam also already said, okay, we'll offer you zero tariffs. Let's just have none. And if everybody does that, great. That's awesome. But he wants this to fund the government. He wants to replace income tax with tariffs, and it's just not going to work.
No. And I'm telling you, it's totally like some kind of weird bait and switch thing, or I don't know. They're just trying to do something. Now he got tariffs in his ear, and he's right. Tariffs did fund it. We weren't what we were. When were we economically prosperous? When tariffs were in place prior to the income tax. You repeal the
Hmm.
16th, you repeal the 17th, and you get rid of the Fed. Oh, now we're talking. Now we're talking. But I mean, until we do those things, we're not the republic that we were. It's a silly thing to think how, and certainly not a state centralized republic. Because remember, 1913 was not just the 16th Amendment was the income tax. 17th Amendment was election of senators. It used to
Hmm.
be state chosen senators because if the state was red or blue, it would choose red or blue senators generally. I would think sometimes they would balance depending on how their structure was built. But it was state run. And as soon as they made it a federal election, once again, it took power from the states.
Yeah, and not to mention the Federal Reserve, created in 1913. All kinds of things. World War One was just gearing up. We were getting ready to get involved with that. It's yeah, it was a bad year. It was a bad year. Protectionism, though, that's what people are citing with these tariffs. They're saying that, oh, we're going to bring jobs back to America. We're going to have these factory jobs, as if that's what people want to do. We want to work in factories. No. But say you even bring back 10,000, 100,000 factory jobs. You don't know the economic consequences of that. You might be killing a million other jobs in other industries. So it's not worth it, and it's not going to help.
Yeah, and I heard arguments today. It's like, well, if you have okay, so let's bring it all back and it's all automated. Well, we still need people to fix the machines. So some jobs fixing the automated machines after you bring the industry back is better than no jobs being. And you're like, dude, is this literally? You're not an 8D chess, bro. You can't even
Mhm.
think 3 years ahead. You can't even get a 4 year budget plan. I mean, these guys are budget 10 years out, and how many they get? What they're good for 3 years. Every one of them's good for 3 years. Why? Because we have 4 year cycles, 2 year cycles, 6 year cycles. That's it. No, we do not plan long term.
And they
We
always
sell
go
out in a
over
weird
anyway.
way. We sell out. What's that?
They always go over anyway. So who cares?
Yeah,
Why do we even have a
exactly.
budget? I can
Right.
spend
I mean,
whatever
it's
you want.
almost the weirdest way. Right.
You can
Exactly. I
print
mean,
money for free.
it'd be cool. Give them a slush fund, and when it's at zero, it's zero. That'd just be okay. You guys spend it, and then when it's you're just out. No
Yeah,
pockets.
right.
Anyway,
But they have the power of the money printer, so that's why. But that's why we can be such a net importer, right? We can buy things because we print the money. We have the world reserve currency. So this is he's messing with things that if you really don't know what you're doing, you probably shouldn't mess with it because it is going to cause some pain. And maybe, we do need to get rid of that stuff. We do need to get rid of the Federal Reserve. We do need sound money, but if you don't really know what you're doing, you're just going to make it worse.
100%, man. 100%. So once again, welcome everyone. We got 10 people on. It's another If by Whiskey. And today's topic, sir, would you like to tell us a little bit about this topic? Cheers.
Yeah.
Sir.
So if you guys followed us when we were consciously unmasked a whole 2 weeks ago, we talked about Tim Walz and his comments when he went on Gavin Newsom's podcast. And we made a lot of good fun of him because, God, he's just such a mindless robot of a person filled with Democrat talking points. Everything's racist, misogyny, fascism. And he tried to flex and say that he could kick everyone's ass, which is hilarious. And it's worse because he really is a bad person. If you guys remember, he was absolutely giddy to implement the worst of the terrible COVID policies 5 years ago. He was the governor of Minnesota, set up snitch hotlines so people could tell on their neighbors. He sent SWAT teams marching through neighborhoods, shooting at people who were just sitting on their front porches for violating the measures, shooting at them with paintball guns or beanbag rounds. I'm not 100% sure which, but
I think it was
it's on
both.
video.
I think it was both. Yeah.
Yeah. You can go find the videos and it's enraging. So this guy, even with how bad Trump has been, thank God he's not in the White House. He doesn't deserve to be walking around freely, let alone going off spouting this bullshit. But he is, and he was on Newsom's show and said some crazy stuff. And it's relevant to what we're going to be talking about today, masculinity. And in case you missed it and you don't know what we're talking about, we got a recap.
We definitely have a recap here, sir. Let me pull this up. So
you got it queued up.
Are we going to play the back-to-back or are we going to do the first one first?
Just number one. Yeah.
All right. Why is it not finding it? That's weird.
Zach keeps talking about this Mar-a-Lago Accords, by the way. It's a plan to phase the dollar out of existence in order to implement a new American-centric world reserve. Maybe.
Where is this? Is that this one right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick.
That's always a possibility. I still have not heard of the Mar-a-Lago Accords outside of Zach spamming us on here.
It just sounds like it's one of those. Is it one of those things where we're doing something with a CBDC, some kind of centralized digital, and
that's
we're
what it sounds like to me.
Bitcoin
CBDC all over. Yeah.
Whatever. And once again, Trump ran against that. So
Trump coin. Trump coin is the new currency.
All right. Now, I don't have a bone to pick with you, sir, but I have a bone to pick with you, sir. You're making us play Mike Waltz multiple times when we're not. Yeah. We're kind of making fun of him, but like we got to find new things. He is a treasure trove of things to make fun of. Let's not kid ourselves.
I want to recap because this one is directly related to the masculinity stuff that we're going to talk about.
100%. You ready, buddy?
Yeah.
All right.
There is a crisis.
I think some of us scare them. I think I scare them a little bit why they spend so much time on it. No, I'm serious because I can fix a truck. They know I'm not bullshitting.
You think I'm afraid to rebuild a carburetor? I eat carburetors for breakfast.
I ain't afraid of bears.
I think I could kick most of their ass. I do think that. If they want to. I know I can outrun them. But
I'm not afraid of women. I ain't afraid of bears. I'm not afraid of women.
I just had to get that guy again, man. I'm sorry. That will never not be funny.
I'm not afraid of anyone.
I'm not afraid of women. I'm not afraid of bears.
Definitely not women. I'm not scared of them. They don't scare me one bit, those sexy bitches.
Like, okay, I'm not afraid of bears. Does that make you a man? Because you probably should be afraid of bears. Let's be honest.
Okay, I was gonna pull it up here because when you mentioned the bear thing.
Yeah.
I just watched a video of a guy scuba diving and a fucking shark is like boom, and it's like great white. You see the teeth from the video, and you see him do the thing on the nose, and dude, the dude's a man. He's doing what he needs to do to not get fucking eaten. But you hear him screaming underneath in his scuba, like, oh, get away! I told you to get away. And you're just watching this freaking thing going totally like, what would you do? What would you do? The guy did everything a man needs to do, but like, he was scared shitless the whole fucking time.
Your soul will be screaming. That would be fucking terrifying. Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with being scared. That doesn't make you not a man to be afraid. There are legitimate reasons to be afraid of things.
Yeah, 100%. But the men, we talk about the jumping in front of instinctually, right? Running toward the fire, the instinct too, right? And we'll get into all that for sure.
Yeah, there's a protection aspect. Yeah, for sure. So anyways, that was the recap. That's why we're talking about this, because there was so much more that we could have gone off of that. And so here's a couple new clips from the same episode of the Newsome cast. I don't even know what he calls it, but number 2.
Douche cast, maybe?
Yeah, the douche. Yeah, it's really interesting because Newsome seems to kind of get it a little bit. He's like at least being a little bit self-reflective, but Walls is just like diarrhea, Democratic talking points.
Yeah. And if I may, I have not watched much of the Gavin Newsom stuff, but I've watched, I will give him political credit for bringing on guests who he's brought on. However, Softball City, have you watched some of these conversations? I have not seen Charlie Kirk like lick somebody's boot even more than that, like, or whatever. It's like weird, right? Or was it Post? It wasn't Post, right? It was Kirk, right? Kirk was on there.
Yeah, Charlie Kirk, and you have Bannon.
And Bannon, come on, it was almost like a weird love fest. Like, guys, we're in the same club, right? We are two wings of the same bird, right, guys? And like you saw that happen, right? They're chummy because they literally are not going to actually be principled and stand up for their part. Because do you think he'd invite him on there? Or do you think he'd actually clip that if they attacked him? No, they have to play this weird, odd, zhuzh game.
Yeah, there's something about that, right? Like any guest that we would have or anyone would have, you can't just full-throated attack them while they're on your show, because they're going to leave, or they're just, they're going to find a way to mess you up. So,
yeah, I find it. But remember, he wasn't the inviter. Gavin was the inviter. That gives the guest a little more free range, and they didn't really take advantage of that, I think. You know what I mean? Because like, it really came down. It's like, Gavin, you asked me to come on. You invited me for my opinion. This is my opinion. It's interesting that we still have a lot. Like, it just speaks to the general kindness of people. I think they don't want, can't get too out of hand, right? You have to play this odd zhuzhy game. So anyway,
true.
I can't message to misogynists. I can't message that women shouldn't have.
But I think if we say people are misogynist, then we're falling prey. We're in that frame. Not everybody that disagrees with us is a misogynist. But I think this notion of toxicity in masculinity needs to be separated. And I think it's been conflated. And I think we're going to have to work on that a little bit. And I think there is a crisis.
I think some of us scare them. I think I scare them a little bit why they spend so much time on it. No, I'm serious, because I can fix a truck. They know I'm not bullshitting on this. Yeah. I'm not putting this in people's grill. I don't know if my identity is not hunting. My identity is not football coaching. My identity is not, a beard and a truck. I like all those things, but how did we get to this? Where have they figured it out that the identity piece of this is more important than the actual substance?
What did fucking identity politics just call out the other side for identity politics? Did I just fucking hear that?
Yeah, I wish there was more to that. I only got that cut off right there. But what is he saying about, do they realize the identity is bigger than the actual substance?
Interesting, isn't it?
This is what we make fun of them for. Identity is not more important than substance. This is exactly why we're doing this, because you guys keep pushing this bullshit.
He talks about hunting. Show you can operate a fucking rifle, dude. Show that you can operate that shotgun, and I will absolutely call you a competent hunter. But don't fucking give me substance when you show me incompetence.
I work on my truck, and I think that scares people. Like, and then he starts out. He's like, everyone's a misogynist. This is just embarrassing. It's embarrassing, like how little he seems to have thought about this. It's regurgitation of political bullshit. At least Newsom's like, hold on, there's more to this than we can't just write everyone off on the other side. Not everyone's a misogynist who disagrees with us. There might be a legitimate argument. And Walls just like, no, they're racist, they're sexist, they're fascists. It's just, come on, dude. Like, what are you in high school? This is not gonna fly.
I mean, this is from the guy whose wife had to open up the window so she could smell the burning tires from the riots. So it would connect her to those poor indigent people that are in the inner city. Like, listen to how captured these fucking people are. It's so ideologically not, it goes against like all the urges of like what men and women are in general. Like, this is an attack on masculinity. It's like an attack on human culture and human nature. That's what it's like. They're trying to behaviorally engineer human nature, and that doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's keep going, because there's one more clip of Walls. This is the last one, I promise.
You better not be lying to me, man.
Now we're going to really transition into the masculinity part of it. So they already mentioned a little bit about toxic masculinity. We got to separate that from what masculinity is. So let's see what they say here.
Because I saw it for me, and not that I spend much time thinking about this, and it just baffled me how much time they spent trying to attack me, that I wasn't like masculine enough in their vision. Yes. Like, I would have never believed this. I saw Fox News did like a couple days because I used a straw. And I'm like, hell, man, how else do you drink a milkshake type of thing? But they focused on it obsessively, which I think, again, is their obsession, their weirdness. We buy their frame on these issues of sexuality, but their whole thing is that they spent all their time, these guys on Fox News, that Walls is gay, he's not masculine, he doesn't coach football the way he should, or doesn't. What do you think about this? I mean,
it's
this misogyny in here that's happening.
Yeah, well, but this notion of masculinity is deeply part of it. That's one of the. I mean, I think it goes. And you can look at the reasons why we've had this sort of dialectic over the Me Too movement. We've had this dialectic even prior to the Me Too movement. This notion
of fight it.
This
I think I could kick most of their ass. I do think that if they want to do it. I know I can run them, but I don't know if we're going to fall into that place where we want to. Okay, we challenge you to a WWE fight here type of thing.
How many times did he say I can kick their ass? Is that the third time from a different clip?
It's the same clip.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just extend. Right. I extended that one.
All right. No, it's cool. I'm just like, come on, man.
Yeah, dude. First of all, okay, is drinking out of a straw gay? I think we need to answer this.
Milkshake out of a straw? Or
is
what?
Drinking anything out of a straw, is that gay?
No.
Oh, okay.
First of all, McDonald's soda can only be drank through that exact diameter straw that they give you. The McDonald's soda has been bricksed. I don't know if you know what bricksing is, but it's the connection of the CO2 with the water and the amount of fountain soda. Those things are they used to be. I think we've blown that up, but they used to be so perfectly aligned.
Where they're trying to make a currency. It's a different thing.
Yeah, exactly. But the diameter of the straw is perfect to the point where Wendy's made their straw bigger, knowing that it hits the tongue more and creates a bigger flavor. So yes, the straw is absolutely mandatory. I will die on that hill.
Okay, I'll leave it there then.
You're like, I'll let you die on that hill.
I don't use straws, not for any particular reason. I don't like them.
I'll just say hands behind your back, leaning forward, and just that's gay. Just saying.
Yeah.
It's how you drink from the straw. Yeah, it's how you drink from the straw. You don't hold it like this. You don't. By the way, what is this Newsom dude? Is he trying to get the Trump thing? This hand jive thing is going to. It's going to be the death of him if he can't get that under control. There is no one can take him seriously with that.
What about milkshakes? Should a grown man drink a milkshake?
Yes, Daniel Day-Lewis did it, and There Will Be Blood. Milkshake. Anyway, I don't know. Do you like
feel like
milkshakes?
that's just some Hollywood propaganda, though.
Wait, are we turning this into a Michelle Obama podcast all of a sudden? Oh, what do you think about milkshakes, Jason? Are straw sandwiches? I'm not interested, bro.
I was just playing.
Let's move into serious.
Get it to serious. I was trying to have a little fun. Okay.
We're having fun. We're having fun. No, we're definitely having fun. Welcome, Justin, by the way. Justin's back on. I didn't say that, but that's what he said.
Justin says everything Mark said sounded gay just now. Well, calling a spade a spade.
Yeah, it's a bear. It's a bird and I got a bird and I got a bear or something, or a cross I got a bear.
Yeah. But anyways, so Walls is saying they made fun of me for drinking out of a straw or something, and Fox News went on this whole 3-day thing calling me gay because I didn't do masculinity right. And it's like, the reason that they went on this tirade is because the marketing around the Democratic Party was framing him exactly as this manly component of the Democrat ticket, because they do see masculinity as this caricature. And I brought that up in the episode last time, but that message was all over the corporate press that Walz brings a masculine flavor to Kamala's ticket. And that's why they made fun of you, dude. Like, whatever he's bringing, it is not masculinity.
Yeah. I think they even tried to play into it the way they had him sit in on Kamala's interviews to make him look like that bigger, like, oh, look at me coming in. Remember, he was even sitting higher than her. Like, it was awkward. There was some weird visual stuff. I'm telling you, they do that stuff intentionally. That lighting and all that stuff is done very intentionally. So it makes you start wondering, it's like they knew they were in trouble from the get-go. I mean, the masculinity ticket. I mean, come on. I mean, Kamala's more masculine.
Part of that was just covering up for Kamala being retarded. Like, she couldn't answer a question, but
it was a little bit of that.
We need someone who can actually speak. So Walz can do that. He can talk.
Not that he could, though. I mean, seriously, I saw the JD. I didn't know JD's debate skills going into the one with he and Waltz, but coming out of that, JD seemed pretty competent debate wise. I don't know if he won or lost. I'm not going to do that, but he seemed way more competent. I will say I thought Waltz was going to do very well.
Don't call him JD. You haven't earned that title, the respect. You call him Mr. Vice President.
What we try to get the country, and you have ocean between you, and even think you have to go to Ukraine and have it go to JD. What you talked about, JD? About that?
I thought that was your title. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, by the way, I'm officially challenged. I'm dropping the gauntlet to Kyle Dunnigan. I don't want to stalk him per se, but you and I both met. First of all, you and I met at a Kyle Dunnigan show, and it was
that's true.
And it was awesome. And he was just on Rogan, and just listening to it's just so funny because, like, I think that we could all have a great conversation. He could throw RFK. You got Trump, and we've got Jordan Peterson. Shapiro can come in, and I did want to do the Shapiro, if I may. What do you mean Israel's getting a tariff? Israel shouldn't get no tariff. Tariffs should get 17%. 17%. They should get 0% tariffs. Tariffs. Blah, 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 blah. But only with Israel. All the other countries go fuck themselves. Yeah. But no, fuck that tariff on Israel. No, sir, we will not have that.
Yeah, I saw that. That was very on brand for him. Yeah.
Very, very current Shapiro, isn't it? Like, these guys, when they fall, boy, do they fucking fall. And I heard for the first time, I think Candace actually has more viewers than Shapiro now after breaking away. That is impressive. And she is a bulldog, man. You do not want to get on her bad side.
If she really gets in touch with her libertarian side, she could be a force to be reckoned with. Because remember when she first came out, like her first time on Rogan, she started like saying some stupid shit about climate change. Like she really did not know what she was talking about. I don't know why that sticks in my head, but it was like, okay, she's saying some good stuff, and then just messed it up. But she's learned a lot since then. That was years ago. So she talks to Dave Smith. She talks to, did she talk to Scott Horton too?
Yeah, and Ian Carroll.
So, yeah.
Who's and Ian Carroll and her are kind of this really new independent wave. Like they're even outside of like the corporate new independent movement. You know what I mean? Like I know Rogan's Rogan, but Rogan's still an enterprise in itself, right? Like Spotify, 200 mil, whatever they are. Obviously, all these other podcasts are, but the Daily Wire and all that, all these people have now broken away and are doing it here still, like almost a counter to this corporatization of the new independent movement that started getting popular and getting money, if that makes like, you know what I mean? If that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's like its own check and
I
balance.
can't speak for all of her opinions. I don't really watch her regularly. I see clips, you know, just like pretty much everybody. So I think there's probably still a lot that she's not good on, but still, she's getting there. I think she's going to get there.
Oh, you couldn't be more wrong, Justin. I'm just saying. Yes. But but yes, he couldn't get through affirmative action. No. She's competent. But the thing is, you were right. I think she was like, you know, anti-racist and all that other stuff at the beginning. And then she saw that it was bullshit. You know, it's kind of like how I was that Bulldog neocon for, you know, for in Iraq and all that stuff. I believe we should do it. Blow them up. Fuck it. Who cares? It's just women and children in some fucking sand pit. What do I care? Like, seriously, what, you know, so naive, you know, like just myopic and so clearly selfish, you know, in that.
They hate us. If they had their way, they'd come blow us all up right now.
Yeah, they want our freedom. They're jealous of our freedoms.
We got to fight them over there so they don't come over here and blow us up.
Right. So once again, we took a little tangent, but we're back on masculinity, everybody. Welcome to everyone who's joined us for another If by Whiskey. And if by masculinity, you mean? So
by masculinity. Yeah.
Where are we?
We're talking about masculinity today because it gets so confused and perverted in people's minds. So we'll talk about what we think it is, what's good about it, what can go wrong, whether or not it's toxic, all that good stuff. We got a clip from Dave Smith.
Speaking of Dave Smith and Candace Owens,
he brought this up on Joe Rogan this last week. I forget which day that came out, but he was talking about, he brought up Andrew Tate, which we'll talk about. He brought up just the general feeling of people putting men down, right? I think that's what we're getting into here.
Yeah. And it's kind of weird because it's like another Ron Paul was right again. I mean, he talked about CIA blowback. Like, I look at this stuff, and we look at like cultures, right? I look at the Gen X people, like my people coddled our kids to make the millennials, to make them like soft. And then look at this new generation that's coming up that's kind of a little more resilient than the millennials were. You know what I mean? Like, there's always a counter push to the general wave that it's going to some way. And this is kind of how this grew, in my opinion, what we faced.
Masculinity is inherently wrong. What do you think's going to come out of that? And then like the same people are like, where did this Andrew Tate guy pop up from? And you're like, you made him. You made him. If you wanted to make him, you couldn't have done a better job.
I guess that's it.
We lost the sound. I don't know what happened there. You want to try it again?
Let's see if it worked there. Yeah, hopefully it works.
Okay, yes, you're going to sit here and for fucking 15 years tell young white men that they're toxic and they're the problem and their masculinity is inherently wrong. What do you think's going to come out of that? And then like the same people are like, where did this Andrew Tate guy pop up from? And you're like, you made him. You made him. If you wanted to make him, you couldn't have done a better job.
There we go.
Is it?
Yeah.
So
yeah, if you wanted to make him, just like Trump, man, I think this is the same phenomenon. It's people pushing on something like masculinity. And, you know, maybe you can make a good argument that men have had undue power and abused it a little bit as a general thing. Not everybody, of course. So you can make that argument, but then there's this pushback and then there's a reaction to that pushback. So with Trump, it's like, it's all of that stuff. It's everybody being like, oh, white men are the worst. Oh, Americans being proud of your country is terrible. And then Trump's like, no, this is great. You guys are awesome. We love you. And everyone's just like, okay, this is good. So Trump is, I think, a reaction to that perversion of whatever ideology is happening at the moment. So masculinity is a big part of that.
100%. And 2016 showed that. We all talk about Trump beginning this whole weird bulliness that he is. No. He was the result of all this shit that we went through over since Bush Senior and Clinton and Bush 2 and Obama. All those shitty policies come home to roost, and we kind of had it. We were fed up. And Brexit happened to be right at the same time because we all got fed up. All the people who believed in liberty and the freedoms and the stuff we grew up on saw this stuff going away in a very quick way, and they weren't happy anymore. And they really were the effect. This is the result. Trump is the result. We are the fault to make Trump. And not only that, Trump could have been gone now. No. He had to lose in 2020 and fucking stretch it out another 4 years. So now we got 12 years of this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's been so heavy on us to talk about this with like everyone, because we just want to talk. We just want to get better. And like, people just take their side and just no, you know. And I thought being like looking at everything objectively would make more friends, and all it's done is made everyone an enemy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Justin says Trump's nationalism was a direct clapback against 15 plus years of anti-American rhetoric from our own institutions. Yeah, they seem to be directly sabotaging it, and it's really crazy. And that doesn't mean that everything Trump does is good, but he recognized that. He got on board with it, and he amplified that message and said, no, you guys are great. We love men. We love white people, you know, even though people will interpret that the wrong way. It's just like, especially white men have been just pushed to the side. Like, nope, you guys are out. You had your time. And now it's time for everyone else to take over. But that doesn't create a good outcome, you know? Like, fighting racism or sexism with more racism or sexism does not fix it. It just amplifies the problem. So that's kind of where we are, right?
Yeah. And that was its own blowback, right? Like, the anti-racism was against the racism that there was that you could find, you know, and there is racism, but it's not 1960s people. It's not in the 1930s. Like, it's not the same. I think we can argue. I think we can also all agree on that, but it became an industry, didn't it? Not enough to be anti-racist. You be actively anti-racist. And then some rabbi goes into Congress today, right? Last week, Rabbi Stuckups, whatever. I don't know what his name is. He goes in and he goes, it's not enough to be anti-Semitic. You have to be actively anti-Semitic. Actively anti-Semitic. And you're like, you just fucking fought that for fucking 10 years on the other side. And that's just what got Trump elected, was this retardery on the other side that they fucking threw at us. And now you want to, the first order of business is to make anti-Semitism a health crisis. That was your first order of business. Have I heard Kash Patel open his fucking mouth one bit about the CIA and how shitty they are while he fucking bitched about them for 2 years? Not a fucking word, man. And I get, and I don't know if that's masculinity, but I'm just jazzed up.
The righteous outrage. That's part of it. Yes. But it's how you use it. It's how you channel it. Right?
Yes.
So we're talking about masculinity. What is it? I mean, people think of like strength, kind of like a duty and honor, patriotism, even stoicism. I mean, what do we think that masculinity is? Because it's not something that just sits alone in a vacuum, right? You got to compare with the opposite side, and maybe it's not even opposing, but you know what I mean? Like femininity, right? That's the counterbalance. Like, you wouldn't have this thing defined as masculinity if there wasn't something else on the other side. So, and you need both. So maybe we could talk about a couple of things. What do you think masculinity is?
Yeah. So this is where I pulled up 10 of them. Were we just going to talk about a couple of them, Jason? We just want to go back and forth?
Pick a couple, your favorite ones, maybe one at a time. Yeah.
Yeah, so the first one that I came up with, just in a general sense, and I mean, it's good for everyone, but masculinity is, for me, it's responsibility. And that means fiscal, personal, communal. You don't infringe on others with any of your, with the way you live your life. You pay your bills, you honor your commitments. So I think I always found that just a responsibility portion of that is highly masculine.
Absolutely. That lines up exactly with one of mine, which I'll put a little libertarian flavor on it, but I would call it self-ownership, right? You own yourself. You're responsible for protecting yourself, your own development, your own needs, meeting your own needs. And that, kind of encompasses a lot of things. To do that, you've got to be strong. Strong, purposeful, resolute. Absolutely. Those are great things that feed into that self-ownership. So yeah, great one.
Awesome. What's one for you? So you go next.
So beyond self-ownership, you also, I think, need self-control. So that's including like remaining calm in a crisis, being able to control your emotions. It doesn't mean don't have emotions. It doesn't mean you should ignore them. That's bad. But like just being able to react appropriately to a given situation, because there's always going to be something attacking you, not necessarily like physically attacking you, but something coming at you that you got to deal with, right? So being able to just take a breath, control yourself, not have the worst reaction, not have your impulse control is maybe a good way to put it. Does that make sense?
That's a great one. And to your point, actually, number 3 on mine was calmness. So it aligns perfectly what you're saying. A certain sense of calm, like as a default setting, like not the instant jump to something, not the instant, just more of a take it in, count to 5, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So along lines, I thought of one was kind of the self-ownership responsibility was accountability. Own up to every decision you make and take. Don't shy away from ownership of your actions.
That's a great one. Yeah. It's really easy to kind of pass the buck and just shift blame when something doesn't go right. And the people that really stand out to me that I've seen in my life have always taken accountability. They, even if it's not 100% their fault, they are the leader. They take responsibility, say, hey, I'm going to fix this. And so, it's not just taking blame, but it's also finding a solution, right?
Yeah, I just come from a sales background. I work in service and things, and it's funny because the thing is never apologize. Mm-hmm. You always hear that. Never apologize, because then they'll get you for blame. It's like, no, you don't understand. Mm-hmm. When I fuck up, I say the first word is apologies. This is exactly the situation and how it happened and where I messed up. And not a single one has ever attacked me for me telling them where I screwed up. Not a single one.
Yeah.
Because humanity has a grace to it. It's like you just have to admit it. Just fess up. Like, we're so happy to forgive people. We really are. We are so dynamically beautiful in that way. But the problem is no one wants to admit it because they don't want to look weak or incompetent or something. It's like the whole point is that we are all fallible. And the more we realize that, the more grace we can have between each other and with each other.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Working with people, like having employees, that really comes in handy, because it's like, I really respect the people that can come to me and say, "Ooh, I made a mistake," or "I could have done this better." Even like, it kind of went okay, but here's what I could have done better. And not only expressing that to me, but sharing it with our team and be like, here's how we can approach this better. I'd never put anyone under the bus for making a mistake. It's especially if they come and own it like that. It's just, oh yeah, I did this. This could have been better. Here's what we can do next time. Awesome. You get bonus points in my book for that.
Right. And like to our point is, like, we're doing this collaboration. You and I are sitting here on a Monday night. There's 20 people watching. They could have better things to do. You and I could certainly have better things to do, but you and I have gone back and forth and trying, like, we don't talk that often. We don't get to talk much, but we communicate through electronic means. We're like, okay, how are we setting up the show, or how are we doing this? And sometimes we screw up, but it's like we do our best to be like, no, we screwed that up. But when it's good, we're like extra helpful. So it's like part of that same thing where it's like, praise in public, criticize in private or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So
And
you
Justin
want to do
mentioned
one more?
one, but yeah, purpose, and not just any purpose, but like a positive purpose, something constructive, something that's actually like adding to the world. I think that's very important. And that could be something as simple as like, I'm raising a family. I'm raising good kids to grow up and do positive things in life too. So it doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm changing the world, I'm sending rockets to Mars or anything like that. It can be very simple, very localized to your own life, your own family. But just having that, I think, is necessary.
I think that's huge. Yeah. I think purpose is what ultimately drives humanity as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's even the feminine nature too, because like purpose for being a mother, the nurturing aspect, obviously that's a feminine trait.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and this is, I think, why Jordan Peterson resonated with so many people, was he told people that they need that, and they're like, oh yeah. I think that modern life has been so like divorced from purpose. It's just like you live, you eat, you have fun, and that's it. That's what you need for a good life. But that's really not it. And so when people hear Jordan Peterson talk about that kind of stuff, that really got in, especially young men's heads, like, oh yeah, oh, okay, I don't have to be depressed because there is more to life. There is something I can put my attention to, my focus toward.
100%. And purpose does play such a big role in so many ways, because it doesn't have to be the same, right? To your point, like it could be a child for somebody, it could be a business for someone else. But we can say that as we've handed off, once again, we're just messengers, right? Let's bring this back to a libertarian perspective. As we've handed off more babysitting duties and more jobs off that we don't want to take personal accountability, responsibility, or self-ownership of, the three things we're talking are masculine, right?
Yeah.
They've taken it off our plates. So now we don't feel that we have any of that because there's none of it needed in our life, or it's atrophied almost.
Exactly. So speaking of Jordan Peterson, we got a clip here. I think I got a little bit ahead of myself talking about the counter between masculine and feminine, but he's good on this stuff. So we got a clip of him, the difference between men and women. I think this is a good start for us.
Yeah. Before we let's put a couple Justins up here. I'm going to pull that up. You mind reading that off for us?
Blockbuster said it best: to fail is human, to rewind is divine. That's funny. Jordan Peterson came about at just the right time as masculine counter to Andrew Tate. Yeah. I don't remember who came first. Was it Tate or Peterson? But
Peterson came up slightly different through Maps of Meaning and his anti-racism. He came up slightly different. So the masculine stuff was a line, but it's like that wasn't Peterson's thing, because like the rules and order, what is it, 12 rules, right? It was after Maps of Meaning. So I know that Maps of Meaning was his first thing, and he taught once purpose, meaning, right? All the same stuff.
Yeah. Well, he really got famous talking about the trans stuff, the pronouns. Like,
yes,
you're not going to tell me what to say. You can't tell me about pronouns.
Oh, there's a C12. Well, by God, oh gosh, I can't even do it now. It's like, oh, bucko, there's a C12 rule in Canada, and they want us to, no, they're going to force us to call you by what you need to be called, and I will not comply.
I will not do it. I'm just doing Kermit the Frog.
Kermit the Frog. Kermit. I can do Kermit much better. Anyway, it's easier just to do Kermit.
I'm still working on Peterson. I'll get it.
You'll get it.
Anyway.
Bucko. All right, here we go.
In your room, men are more interested in things and women are more interested in people. And that's actually the biggest difference we know of psychologically between men and women. And even though men and women are quite similar, all things considered, the extremes make a difference. So you imagine that in order to become an engineer, you have to be extraordinarily interested in things rather than people. Well, most of those people are men. And if you want to become a nurse, well, then you have to be much more interested in people than you are in things. And most of those people are women. You cannot minimize that by social engineering.
Yeah, man. So do you agree with that? I mean, do you think men are more interested in things versus, women being more interested in people?
I absolutely can. I've been a Jordan Petersonite for a long time. The data back it up. The more egalitarian, what that means is the more free a society is to choose, the more men and women actually choose like gender leaning kind of outcomes. As a rule, not a specific one here. It's not like you're going to slap a pencil out of a girl's hand for wanting to do a math problem, okay? But women in like nurses, doctors, look at the lifting in that because they work with people. And you look at engineers and like yourself and people who work on mechanics, they work with things. Masonry, brick building, those are all things. You work in chip manufacturing, you probably have a service division. I work in tech, like IT management, copiers. We have technicians. They are all awesome people, but they are different. They're different. They aren't as verbose as us, but they're more intelligent in this other way, right? Like
You're talking to one of them.
What's that?
You're talking to one of those guys.
Oh, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, you're kind of like, but you're doing this too. You put yourself out there. So, you're a little bit more, right. But you're at least a little bit more of that. Right. But to your point, that's exactly the type of person. And what's interesting is I have a little bit of that, but a lot more of the verbose stuff. So it's like, I was like always this good transitional bridge between the people who just did the sales stuff and the people who were like the tech people, I'm the go-between. I get the specs from the customer and I give them to the engineer.
I have people skills, damn it. What is wrong with you people?
I gotta jump to conclusions, Matt. Anyway.
Yeah, man. So I think you're right though. Like, and there's a reason, like going back through time, masculinity has had to mean kind of that, the physical strength, which means they had to be protectors and they got more focused on things that would help them do that. The tools, which sparked engineering and then strategy and all that stuff. So, and of course, that's not to say that women can't do those things. It's just that it kind of evolved that way because of the strength. They had to be that person, right?
100%. And once again, this isn't a criticism of either side.
No,
it's a natural, general, and it makes sense. I mean, you're talking about the sex that has to hold another human in them for 9 months. I would hope that they were the more nurturing of the two sexes. I would just, it just makes sense. And you'd want the other half of that to be bullish and to get in the way of the other people trying to hurt the two things that you're protecting. Like, it's just one of them, because protection came up for me as one, to be honest. Like, is it protection? Is that exactly what it was? Yeah, protection. Protect the people you love, your property, the people in your community. Jump in front of the lion, right? Like, it's so important.
Yeah, we face, different realities because of that biology, because women are carrying children. That's a huge investment, like just physically alone, not to mention the time that they spend caring for a child, raising it, because children are basically helpless for the first, I don't know, at least 10 years of their life, right? You gotta take care of them. So because they have to do that, then they have to be more selective about the men. So they need a man that can do those things, someone who can protect them, someone who will be physically strong enough. You don't have to be this big bodybuilder guy, right? Like, even when I was pretty ripped back in the day, like I never like felt super masculine because of it. It was just like, okay, I'm strong, but what can I do with it? Probably not that much. But anyway, like,
look,
so
that's truth. That is, I'm sorry, I only posted this because it's true. This is not glib. I'm not making fun of it. Some men, destined, whatever you want to call it, like some people are born with preferences. It's okay.
Maybe that's more common nowadays because of the world we live in. Like, things have changed. We're not in this like hunter-gatherer type situation anymore. We're not, fighting for survival every day. We're just kind of chilling. So I think the line between masculine and feminine has shrunk considerably. And maybe that's part of why you see more homosexuality.
Have you heard a little bit about this? And I don't want to jump too far ahead of it because it's like biological, but allegedly the stress from World War II, the percentage of homosexual children in Germany is like double what the off the standard deviation. It's like 1 or 2 deviations off. And it's like there was a spike, and they attribute something about the barbaric nature with some kind of stress hormone that affected some DNA or something in the birth. And like you could totally see that happening. I mean,
Yeah,
biology is so freaking ridiculously adaptive. Like it might take some time, but like I could see those types of events happening, and the truth is, yeah, culturally, like, but to be honest, when a woman who's adopted 5 different children from 4 different countries, and they're all shades of everything and all different, and they all turn out trans, I mean, they just happen to be all trans. What, she smell it off them when she adopted them? Are you kidding me? Like, for example, in that way, it's like you got some crazy people with these notions that they can just do, like they turn their children into like their playthings, their objects or their dolls. And that's awful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole other thing. You should not mess with
whole
kids.
Other thing. Not at all.
Yeah. But yeah. Zach.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it, man.
Yeah, we'll skip that one. Anyway, Brett Weinstein, I think everybody knows who he is, evolutionary biologist. He talks about this stuff a lot, and he points out that the differences that have shaped this difference between masculine and feminine lead to like a greater variability in traits like intelligence or physical strength. So that means not that men are necessarily smarter on average, but just that there are more likely to be men on the extreme ends. So on the dumb end too, and the smart end, and on the super strong end and the weak end, because we all, not the weak end, but the weaker side.
From my understanding, I think it's something like 60% women in the middle and 20 on the extremes. But for men, it's like 40% in the middle and like 30% on the extremes or something.
Yeah, it's a flatter curve, right? And it goes longer. Yeah. Flatten the curve, 15 days. What was
15 days.
2 weeks. 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks to flatten the curve. Welcome, everyone. Once again, we've got another If by Whiskey. Today, we're talking masculinity. We've got 25 people on. So thank you very much for joining us tonight on a Monday evening. We've got the chat open. And no, Ron Paul was right, Zach. Ron Paul was right. Let me put this one up. What you want to talk about that one with Justin? Saw that one come up.
Justin says, it's interesting how there was no such thing as toxic masculinity when things like physical strength played a bigger role in survival or earning a living. That is interesting. And that's kind of what we're talking about, right? That's the change of how people live today definitely plays a role in what we see as masculine or what's traditionally masculine. And does that fit in our society anymore?
Yeah, and I'm going to attribute it to technology is a huge one. Okay, when you have a cell phone and you can call your best friend to come over real quick if there's an emergency, or if you have pepper spray or a whistle or a gun. Like, remember, the man jumped in front of the lion with a stick. The gun made the stick kind of unnecessary if a woman can pull a trigger. It didn't, like, to your point, the strength wasn't required, right? The same way. So in a lot of ways, that ability, birth control was another thing that empowered women and changed a lot of this type of cultural piece as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And the roles now have definitely been blurred in modern times. And I think recently there's a trend of saying that masculinity is toxic, probably because that traditional strength, the aggression, that doesn't quite have the same utility that it used to.
Right. And we have become, once again, a little more accepting society. Well, a lot more. I mean, times have been easier. That whole cycle of, hard times make tough men make easy times make the weak men. We're kind of that we had those, a generation of people are much different, I would argue, than the most of the humans I've met. and they can't make eye contact. They can't like it's very odd. It's really weird. But that stuff got lost somewhere for like a generation. And I hope that we can reel that back.
Yeah. Zach has a good comment, actually. Why is our society stuck in the fallacy that traditionalism was this happy-go-lucky, Leave It to Beaver 1950s style sitcom perfection? Yeah, it definitely wasn't. That was more of the time when we got away from what we're talking about as traditional masculinity. They're talking about it as like the dad goes to work and provides for the family and comes home and drinks a bottle of whiskey, and who knows what happens after that. But like the Mad Men type of thing where they're, grabbing the ass of the secretary and, all the bad things that people rightly call toxic. I think that's where masculinity goes wrong.
Well, something just popped in my head. I'm thinking about an office space. Okay. I'm thinking about an office like in Mad Men. It's all strangers coming together. Of course, they're going to fucking play grab ass. They're all type A personalities, whatever. You get on a farm. First of all, you generally don't have people that work for, it's usually your family that works for you. It's however many kids you could make is your hand, right? Is your like all your hands, right? But if you did hire someone, you're not playing grab ass there. You're too fucking busy working. You know what I mean? Like all these downtimes of all these weird businesses that we, these urban things that we did, whatever it is, that's not a complaint.
Office jobs are fake.
Right. It's not a complaint. It's just like, these are results of the direction that we went. Right? Like this is just you push this, that's going to move that way, right? These are just acknowledgments of things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I said, most office jobs, you have so much downtime. They're mostly fake. Even mine, I say that as one of those people. I'm like, there's so much I could be doing, and I'm just there to kind of keep things flowing. It's kind of a waste. But anyways. Before we get too much into the toxic side, though, we talked about already the traits we thought were positive that made it a good, at least a good start for masculinity, right? I do have one clip from Robert Greene. He wrote the 48 Laws of Power, the Laws of Human Nature, some other books, I think, but here he was on Modern Wisdom talking about self-control. That's the one I mentioned, but he's got some good comments about it.
Yeah, and I will say I like Robert Greene's 48 Laws, and he also did 50 Cent, the 50th Law or something, I think, on 50 Cent. And he said that dude lives that life. Did you watch the Chris Williamson entire podcast with him?
No.
Okay, if you get it, he's an interesting guy to watch. He's real interesting. He was on there a couple times. So, all right, I'll hit this one for you.
And it's a cultural problem because men are very confused. I didn't have that confusion when I was growing up, so now it's very difficult because you're being told that all these things that you feel naturally are negative. They're only negative if you can't control them. So self-control is a very masculine quality. You're able to control yourself. You're able to control your passions. You're able to not talk too much if you don't need to talk too much. I'm not saying that women don't have, that the opposite is wrong. These are things that men naturally have because of their biology. And I'm sorry, I do believe in these things. But they're good. They're just how you use them that can be bad. And so I just wish there were more positive role models out there.
Yeah, that's kind of maybe a little, could have been in a better spot, better order. But anyways, yeah, that's a big thing that people, men especially, are being told that how they are naturally is bad. And that is a negative. That's something that I would like to put a stop to.
Right. Because that's like saying women are too emotional. I mean, it's the counter to that in a weird way. We talked about anti-racism, anti-Semitism, right? Like now it's anti-feminine. It's like, all right, it's another anti-feminine. Yes, shit used to be different, everybody, and we've softened over time. You just got to give us fucking time. We're monkey shitting on our hands and throwing it at the wall to see what sticks. Give us time to adapt to these things, man. Like all these ideological things, we'll get there. We'll figure it out. Like, and the natural progression is so much better than pushing on the pendulum, you know? It's crazy.
Yeah, one of the things they like to talk about is mansplaining. I think you know this this phrase. Everybody probably knows.
Can you explain that to me? Well, yeah, what is
Mansplaining. Well, as a man, let me tell you what this is. No, it's really being condescending, right? That's what it is. And men can do it, women can do it. And so I really hate that phrase mansplaining, because it's not just men that do it. You know, there are men who are condescending, who do that. They try to explain things to you that you already know, but maybe you're also not doing a good job demonstrating that you already know it if they feel like they have to explain it to you, you know?
Yeah, totally. And that's funny. There's I think her last name's Summer, but she's a feminist. And she's of like Camille Paglia, I think like in her foot. Really awesome. I've seen her podcast like way back in the day. I think she might have been on Rogan way back, like a long time ago. But she had a podcast called Femsplaining. And it's kind of like she's laughing at it too. It's like, look, there's some logic doesn't have a side or a gender or an ideology. Like, this is logic, people. This just makes sense. It has nothing to do with like, you know, like what you feel like or whatever. This is just logic, and it's shown throughout history biologically. And yes, you can be a variant of that. That's what variance means. You're not forced to be this. You might just have a propensity to be a certain thing or a certain way. That's all.
Yeah. Some people they're that know-it-all type that feels like, I want to explain this to everybody, and you don't need it. But okay, that's just their personality. They can change. They can also, you can just say, hey, I didn't like that. You don't have to start a whole fifth wave feminist movement about it.
Exactly. Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
I love the self-control, right? That's kind of what we talked
Green
about.
talks about self-control, right? So that's part of it, controlling yourself. Like, oh, I have a tendency to over-explain and be condescending. Okay, let me look at myself and see what I can do to fix that. Could be, you know, aggression. Aggression is good in the right situation at the right level, but you can definitely overdo it. So if you tend to do that, you can look at yourself, reflect. Hey, what triggers me to do that? How do I stop it? How do I control myself? How do I discipline myself enough that I can be in control? Right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I love it. And you said aggressiveness. And if I may, I'll jump in. We talk about traits. You asked us to list a couple. I was looking at aggressiveness, and I shifted a little bit. I called it assertiveness.
Assertiveness. Yeah, that's good.
I call it the ability to act once a decision's been finalized. And I think the wishy-washy, right? It's kind of like I step on the gas more than the brake when there's a car issue. Because there's something about being able to maneuver out of the way or something versus getting stuck in something, if that makes sense for me. I always felt that was more of a control way in some way. Not every instance,
it's
obviously.
Kind of just like the ability to get things done, right? Like not just waiting for it to happen. Getting being assertive, having a little bit of aggression in making things happen with your purpose in mind.
It's like, hey, we got to go this way now. Like, there's no time. No, we got to go this way now. That is, we decided we're going. I don't care if it's the wrong decision, but staying here is definitely not the right decision, you know, kind of thing. It's like those kinds of things, you know, and it is a borderline with aggression, because it's sometimes met with resistance, but you have, you know what I mean? So you kind of use a little force in some cases.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we talked about Jordan Peterson a little bit already, but we got another.
What are you talking about? We didn't talk about Jordan Peterson. He's still here he's still up in Scottsdale.
Oh, geez. You gotta clean your room. Take responsibility. Face your suffering head on. Fight the dragon that's stolen your father.
There's treasure, but there's also reward. There's treasure, but there's also reward on the end of their rainbow.
Do something.
All right, I'm trying to pause this thing, but it's not liking me.
Difference, but
all right.
All right. So, is this the right one? Maybe.
It's 7.
Yeah, no, I think this is right. This is right. So we're talking about like his take on masculinity, because we talked about him, kind of the contrast between him and Andrew Tate. Tate is somebody that people might look at as more of a toxic masculinity type, Peterson is the opposite, although it's very interesting because they talk about a lot of the same things. There's a lot of overlap there. Would you agree?
100%. And I know we're getting into Tate too, but masculinity has many faces to it, just like femininity has many faces to it. There, women are so capable. How many fucking wars have been started over a woman? Exactly. How many over a man? Right. Exactly. Like, it's not, you know what I'm saying? Like, Helena Troy had to have been something. You know what I mean? Like, Cleopatra had to have been, there had to have been something about like that ability. And it's not bad. It's just used the way, you know, it can be used poorly, right? But it's like a beautiful thing, that ability to entice people or whatever, right? Of course. For example.
Yeah.
All right. Let me hit this guy.
All right.
Between letting people, there's a big difference between letting people do something for themselves and saying men should be dangerous. By dangerous, that implies I should be ready to threaten someone, to hurt somebody.
No, you should be capable of it, but that doesn't mean you should use it. There's nothing to you otherwise. Like, if you're not a formidable force, there's no morality in your self-control. If you're incapable of violence, not being violent isn't a virtue. People who teach martial arts know this full well, right? If you learn a martial art, you learn to be dangerous, but simultaneously you learn to control it. Both of those come together. And the combination of that capacity for danger and the capacity for control is what brings about the virtue. Otherwise, you confuse weakness with moral virtue. I'm harmless, therefore I'm good. It's like, no, that isn't how it works. That isn't how it works at all. If you're harmless, you're just weak. And if you're weak, you're not going to be good. You can't be, because it takes strength to be good. It's very difficult to be good.
That's a great point, man.
The video's off for some reason, so I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think the point stands. You got to be dangerous, right? This I heard from him years ago, and it stuck with me. And I think I was the guy who was weak. You know, I might have been like kind of physically strong because I was an athlete and stuff, but I was like not emotionally, but rhetorically. Like, I avoided conflict, I avoided arguments and stuff because I just wasn't good at it. You know, it's not that I was like a peaceful person, it's that I just couldn't argue with people because I hadn't taken the time to explore the right ideas. I hadn't taken the time to, like, you know, build the mental fortitude that I needed to be able to fight these battles, the things that I'm trying to do now. I'm not saying I'm that great at it yet, but I'm working on it. That's part of the reason why I'm doing this, because I want to be able to have those conversations, be able to be persuasive. And that, I think, is a lot more useful than physical strength in a lot of cases in modern times.
And it also is a purpose for you. So, like, it kind of checks a couple boxes. Yeah, the dangerous point. This was my thing. I'm like, I use the military as a great example. We should have the broadest sword, but it should be sheathed at all times. Mm-hmm. Simple as that. We should be at the ready. Shouldn't use it ever. Shouldn't ever have to need to use it. But damn it, if we're not the strongest, because if you can impose and you don't, that is where you gain respect. Like, and let's use Scott Horton and Provoked. Let's use Ukraine and Russia as a great example. Let's use after World War I, Treaty of Versailles, same thing. Churchill, Europe stomped on Germany's throat with the upper hand. They just did not let them go. And if they had some grace, we don't know how strong that nationalism backlash would have been, but it may not have been what it was. Pretty sure it may not have been what it was. That same thing, when we go into this thing with Russia and Ukraine, after the unipolar moment, we had every opportunity to help to bring the second largest country in the world into the fold of Western democracy in its own way. And no, we just wanted the enemy. Let's just keep encroaching. We need NATO to get bigger. Our greed takes over. And it's crazy that we, our other traits take over for the other traits.
That really brings to mind a good one, I think. that masculinity, or even just being a good person, it doesn't have to be manly, but is part of that is just bringing up people around you, not being the strong man, the bully that, you know, pushes their weight around the world in that case, like the United States does. It's helping others to get better, and that's not what the United States has done. And that's it's been good for some people, right? It's made a lot of people very rich, and not the right people though. It's
It's
been
not
very bad
prosperous.
for most of us. Yeah.
Right. It's profitable, but not prosperous, right? That's kind of how we look at it. Yeah. And to your point is like, look at all this stuff we do about, like, look at Zach and Justin are on right now, like boosting us up, commenting, engaging. They've been on almost every podcast we've been on. Why? Because they know us.
Appreciate you guys.
Because they're cool. And if I can jump on Zach's, I try to jump on somebody's. But like, I make sure to watch yours or promote yours, or however engage as much as we can. Cause like, we're understanding that that's our community that we have to build up in that way. And that's the best way we can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And peace through strength is what Justin says. I think it's a good comment. Like, people say an armed society is a polite society. So it's not that people are just being nice because they're weak, you know, like at any moment somebody could pull out their gun and shoot you, right? And so that, you know, that's kind of an incentive. Maybe that's I don't know if that lines up exactly what we're trying to say, but being dangerous definitely has some good features to it.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. And I put this up here as, yes, peace through strength, but be very careful, because like the Yemen peace through strength is not the what peace through strength we're talking about. Like,
yeah,
we don't need to show our strength to do it. We need to just be peaceful while we are strong. And I think it's a slightly different angle than peace through strength. It's peace while strong. Something like that might be more of an accurate or a better way to view it.
Here's an analogy. I don't need to go on Facebook and start spamming everybody's timeline with my ideas or my ideology, right? But if somebody comes out and says something stupid, I'm going to jump all over it, because I can't tolerate that. So I'm strong in my ideology. I'm strong in what I know, but I'm not just going out there like beating people over the head with it. You know, if you want to come hear about it, I'm here. But yeah. what was that?
That's what I do, man. I go on X and I'll just go on like what's the something of memes, like the D whatever of memes, and I'll just like boom, 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 like the first 20 I'll throw on Facebook and just watch the bombs just go off like crazy. It's fun. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it can be fun.
We got to give it up to Zach for a little John Cena trying to go for number 17 at WrestleMania. But anyway.
Zach says I should go out beating people over the head with stuff. Maybe.
Well, you can only hit somebody so hard with the carrot, right? That's what Sam Harris said. Speaking of which, Sam Harris, I'm not deviating. Let's continue.
Ooh. Yeah, maybe we'll do that next time.
We'll do another one. We'll do another recap. Harris, dude's lost his fucking mind. Lost it completely.
Yeah. Yeah, well, on this theme, we got another clip from Joe Rogan this time. He's kind of piggybacking off what Peterson says, but it's also a good one.
All righty.
Joe Rogan, and this will transition us into the toxic masculinity.
All right, there we are. I had to find it.
You can't be weak. And in this country, being weak is thought of as a virtue. Jordan Peterson has a really interesting way of looking at this. And he said it to me once, and it made a lot of sense. He said, people think that you should be weak and you should be docile, and then you should be a pacifist. He goes, no, you should be a monster. He said, you should be ruthlessly ambitious and then learn how to control it. And it's that old expression. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war.
Wow.
Boom. Love that. You got to be ready. That's part of the masculinity, man. You can't be weak. You got to be strong at something. There's all kinds of different ways that you can be strong today, but if you're just sitting around doing nothing, that's not it.
I certainly can attest to that, because I'm nothing and I don't do anything. So
I've
no,
done
but
that.
yeah, 100%. Like it's the
Yeah.
gardener in a war. Come on, better be a warrior in a garden. That is such a
Mhm.
great, I know it's so simple and reductionist, but it's so true. You want to
Yeah.
restrain yourself and
Goosebumps.
just not need to do. And look, I'm gonna flex 1 second because we were gonna talk possibly MMA, but you didn't know this gentleman. But I'm gonna flex it. Last year after Freedom Fest, I met someone through Freedom Fest that I met in Phoenix the week after, and Pat Miletich, MMA great, Pat Miletich, superstar, middleweight or welterweight champion, Pat Miletich. I think UFC, early as UFC 12, Pat Miletich comes to my house for sous vide steaks. And I spent $400 on non-antibiotic steaks because I knew he was coming, and only 4 people showed up, but it was awesome. It was a great time. He was so cool. But like the dude can snap my fucking neck. And he was the calmest guy in the entire play. Of all the there were 5, 6 people there. He was the calmest, most chill dude. Those guys, because it's like, it's that whole the gangster
Because
thing.
they know they can.
Real gangsters don't talk shit because the real gangsters don't need to, right? Like they don't flex them because they know they got them. And there's a masculinity in that, you know?
Yes. Yeah, being strong gives you that ability to just be the calmest person in the room because you know if something goes down, you got it under control. You can handle it. Warriors do have to eat. That's funny.
And
Yeah.
hopefully not vegetables
That's
at
why
this
it's
point.
better to be the warrior in the garden.
100%.
So we got to talk about toxic masculinity, right? This came from I guess this movement back in the 90s. I think that's where it started, maybe 80s. But this toxic masculinity phrase was used to describe an exaggerated, harmful masculine behavior like aggression, emotional repression, and domination. That this scientist guy, Shepard Bliss, he believed that stemmed from patriarchal socialization, not masculinity itself. So something that's socially influenced. What do you think about that?
Well, I think about the prior to the toxic masculinities, considering I went to college between 92 and 97. Don't say a word, you son of a bitch. You were 5 freaking years old. It was like the frat boy thing. That's what toxic masculinity was. Like that was what the frat boy jock boy was on campus, right? Drug up or drunk up, get a girl drunk and like mess with her. Like I'm just saying that was a big thing. Look at Meatballs and Porky's in the 70s and 80s, all those movies. Revenge of the Nerds had rape in it. Revenge of the Nerds, literally the dude raped a woman because she did not have informed consent that it was that dude that was throwing it in her. Like legit. Like this is real stuff back then. And I don't know that stuff. I think that was where the correction happened with the 80s Arnold Schwarzenegger blowing up, the extra masculinity. It kind of just overran things, and I think I don't know if it became toxic, but it's like everybody tried to prove they were a man, like Mike Waltz, and don't know how to. You can't prove to be a man. You can just be a man. You know what I mean? You don't prove it by doing. Like, oh, I raped a girl and I drugged her drink. Like, that's not what a man, you know what I mean? Like, that's not what it was. So like, you know what I'm saying? Like we're in college and stuff. I think that's what that initially was that frat boy kind of mentality where they did do that. Took advantage of girls at parties.
Yeah, you don't see movies like that anymore. I mean, even like American Pie, where that's kind of what I grew up with, was like the whole point was them to just try to have sex with a girl. That was the whole thing. And maybe I'm not just out of touch. I'm out of touch with what's coming out today, but I don't see anything like that anymore. That wasn't even rape. That was just like, that's our whole goal. That's what makes you a man. It's just like, okay.
Once again,
nice, but
that's the hero's journey, though. I mean, it's 16 Candles. Like Anthony Michael Hall wanted to, like every generation had its movie that was like that in a weird way. But to your point, it kind of almost did stop because it's like, once again, these things aren't toxic. They are things which we need to mold and control like clay to make the best shape to be the best shaped person. just like
Yeah.
everything else is, right? Like it's like putting a good or bad on it is really challenging, I think.
Yeah, and that's a step to everybody like becoming an adult, right? Is figuring out a mate, right? All that, like, that's an important step, no doubt. And I think that the toxic pressure, the people pushing, saying that this is toxic, like, does have a detrimental effect on that, because there's a good side of that, and that, you know, we're kind of telling people that that's wrong. Like, you shouldn't even think about it. You shouldn't ever talk about sex with the opposite sex, because that's going to be harassment. That's going to get you a lawsuit, you know?
Right. To the point where people, I mean, I haven't had the chance to do, well, not chance, I haven't had zero desire to do it in the last 6 years, going on 7, because I've been with Megan almost 7 years. But I can tell you, if I were out there and I approached a woman, how many do you think would be like, like think I'm like attacking them or something? I've seen it. I've seen it in the wild where they're like, they're that interaction. It's, oh, I can't swipe. I can't talk to you. And that's guys too. Guys can't even approach women anymore. They can't even talk to women. It's crazy. They can't make eye contact. They can't. It's weird.
Yeah. And I was never good at that, but still, yeah, I definitely, even when I had to start dating again after a long-term relationship, it was just like, I don't know what to do. Can I even talk to people about this? And like, it feels weird because the expectations are one thing. And then, you know, if you don't do that, then you're like not a man. And it's very bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, dating. We didn't even talk about dating and masculinity nowadays, because it's like hard to. Do you pick? I've not picked a. Okay, in the last 10 years that I dated, like when I was dating, I haven't picked a woman up at her place in probably 15 years.
Yeah.
Maybe 20, maybe 15, probably 15 to 18 years. Like literally going to their house,
like
pick
10
them
years
up to
for
go
me.
to a date. No, I usually meet them. Like, even, you know what I mean? Unless you were like actual dating, like actual, we're talking about like at a date. I did not go to their door, ring their doorbell, open their car door, you know what I mean? Like, I met them there. And like, it's funny because that toxic masculinity put it so far in my head that I pushed for that. Like, I'd be like, don't you want to meet at the place? Because you want to be safe, right? And I don't want to make you feel.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why am I talking like I'm a fucking psychopath here? I'm a good dude. Why am I telling this lady to like be careful?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, my
So,
wife gave me some shit about that. She's like, "Why didn't you want to come pick me up?" And I was like, "Oh, I thought, like, our first date, like, I thought you'd want to just meet, and then if I'm crazy, you can leave, or if you're crazy, I can leave."
Yeah, and it's kind of, it's dating's almost become a little more transactional, almost in a way too, and it's made it challenging to really have deep connections in some ways. And I think women and men, to your, like we talked about, that generation, that what 18-year-old boys are like way conservative, and 18-year-old young women are not at all conservative. And that's once again a cultural thing where that divide, it's hard to get along with somebody you don't have some alignment or core. Like, if you can't talk the same language, right? Like, if you don't have the core things to communicate, then you definitely can't get along, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Wow.
welcome. I am, by the way, is coming on to
Yeah.
If by Whiskey special Thursday episode on the 10th. I'm going to be way over my head. What's that?
I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be good.
Very much so. We're going to be talking about intellectual property. If by intellectual property, so it'll be a good one. So we're looking forward to it. So anyway, but like to your point, like Peterson and Tate, we're going to get there, but they cross a little bit on the masculinity side. But there is a slight difference. Is like, I haven't seen Jordan Peterson use it to flaunt, to peacock the cars and the women and the money necessarily. Like, I think that,
He's
and
got
we'll
some
get
nice
there.
suits.
Yeah. But we'll get that. He does have some beautiful suits. You know, I saw him on November 8th, 2022. He was wearing his half blue, half red suit. It was great.
Oh, yeah.
I think I lost him. Man.
He's gone. He's gone.
He's
But anyway,
gone.
what do we think? What makes masculinity toxic? Do we have like a definition?
I would say using your advantages to get something from someone else who isn't as advantaged as you in certain things. So let's you, I mean, rape is a great example of that, right? Like a man overpowers a woman. It's a power thing, clearly, whatever, but he overpowers a woman. That's clearly one where it's toxic, right? You and I, we can easily overpower people. You don't see us holding down people all day. It's just not what we are, but we could. And I would think that's one. What are your thoughts on one?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think yeah, it's taking the positive traits just to an extreme and being like abusive with it. So yeah, if you're naturally aggressive and strong, we can easily imagine how taking that to an extreme would go bad, right? And yeah, like you said, it's using that power that you have, your natural abilities, things that come with being a man, like the extra physical strength, using that in a negative way, just to harm somebody, right? To make people's lives hell around you. That's what it is. And it could even be like something like an addiction, you know, if you get addicted to alcohol, drugs, or something, and you're just sitting around, you're not providing for your family, you're not doing the things that you need to do as a man. That's also part of the toxicity, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, not using your masculinity is also toxic, right? Like
Yeah.
denying it in a weird way.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right? Because like then you're becoming what you the beautiful of femininity and masculinity is that there's a balance and they you know, it's the sine cosine curve and they fill each other out. That's the whole point. They end up the lows that we have are the highs that women are. Like to your point, toxic femininity. How great does it feel when your wife comes up to you and just says, "Oh my God, Jason, you did this thing. You screwed on this hinge on this door. I hadn't said anything to you, but like I just saw it was loose today and I came back and it was tight. Oh my God, you were the most amazing. I love you so much." But it's like how that feels. But I've seen women use that and use it to like pit people against each other too. Right. So it's how that's used. It can be
There's some
such a
toxic femininity in there.
right. So it's the same thing. Once again, it doesn't make that a toxic trait, but if it's wielded improperly or with the ill intent, then it could be, right?
Mhm. Yeah, it kind of comes down to really just, is it something people want? You know, like it's kind of like the voluntarist mindset. Like, is this a voluntary transaction between us? Do you want me to be aggressive? Do you want me to take leadership in this role? You know, and if everybody's on board, then that's a positive thing. Can a male
I'd
have an
like to address
A-type
this.
personality and be more feminine? Ooh, good question.
Would one argue that submission is a feminine trait? Eh.
Maybe.
How about being more what's that called? Agreeable. Let's say agreeable versus
Agreeable is a
submission.
better way to put
Right.
it. Yeah.
Let's just use that. Like you see these CEOs who like dominate the world and then they go and they get their balls stepped on or something like, or they get beat up by a woman, like
Yeah.
because it's like a release thing. There's a weird psychology there. So there could be some of that, right? Where like, but it's more of a release of some sort. So it gets pretty nuanced there. It might be something to look into, but I think there's a lot of factors in that.
Yeah, interesting question. I got to think about that one.
I
Well,
like it. Justin also said, I think not, I'm assuming he meant rape is not really masculinity. And I would agree. My point is the overpowering or the strength and the, you know,
it might have. Yeah, I think maybe that was referring to the strength and the, you know, aggression type stuff. But yeah, right. That's not all masculinity is, of course. That's just one example of a thing that men naturally, generally have more of than women, but that doesn't necessarily make you masculine. That's right. Speaking of the toxic side, we got to talk about Andrew Tate. So we got a couple of his clips. And like I said, a lot of what he says overlaps with what Peterson says, and a lot of it is good. Maybe 90% is good, but there's also some not so good stuff in there. And I don't think that he is a great role model to follow for people, but that's my opinion.
Well, I can say this. Why do we have to take the person as a whole? Why can't we look at his discipline, his work routine, his ethic? Why can't we look and go, man, Andrew Tate really works his butt off. Wow, Andrew Tate's really disciplined. Wow, Andrew Tate really has his life structured the way he needs it to get his job. Not the other stuff, not judging the other stuff, but looking at those traits as individual things. And then the other side going, okay, we can dismiss these other things. What are your thoughts on something like that?
Yeah, definitely. I think what came to mind was Bill Cosby. Like he
not do as I do as they say. I'd like to talk to you about my Jello pudding pops. Jello pudding. Yeah. I got a decent Bill Cosby.
Yeah, for people that know me, you know I'm obsessed with Norm Macdonald. He has a great joke about this. He's just like, oh yeah, I used to love Bill Cosby. I didn't really like his comedy so much, but who he was as a man. He's like, well, that was before we knew about the raping. They didn't put that on the comedy album notes that he was
the cleanest comedy album that I stole from a department store himself. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, remember, I'm from Philadelphia.
But he always had like the family values and like the conservative kind of mindset. And like he said a lot of good things, but then you find out he's actually this monster behind the scenes. That's anyway, but that doesn't totally discount everything he ever said about the good stuff, you know?
Really good point. And it sucks because once again, I grew up in Philadelphia. Bill Cosby was a Philadelphian. So my mom worked with a catering company, and we did really good catering stuff. We did like Trump's yacht, the Princess, and stuff. We did a bunch of cool catering stuff, like really awesome stories about some pretty high end stuff. But that was one of the Bill Cosby is one of our people. I've got and it's just real interesting, and like how we looked at him like he's a black guy giving us the thing that we're kind of telling we think black guys should do or something. I don't know what the hell. I don't know how to say it. Like it's stupid, but it's like, remember, this is the 80s, everybody. Like, hello, we don't fucking know. We're Archie Bunkery still. Okay, whatever. So these people are idiots. And anyway, so he had this thing, pull up your bootstraps, he had really good things. That Himself album is one of the most amazing albums, and it's totally clean. And then the same guy also roofied drinks and raped women. And you're like, wow, that is really unfortunate. Like, what do you make with that? Right. How do you throw the baby out with the bathwater on that?
No, I don't. But also, man, just like all the people not all the people, I would say a lot of people that I see advocating for like kind of some conservative things that I might agree with are also just like freaking weirdos and they're crazy. And yeah, Mark's definitely high.
Trying to get in focus. I'm trying. There we go.
Drip.
Anyway,
are they paying you? Otherwise, get that shit off the screen.
They might be soon.
Anyways, yeah. So no, I don't discount good things people say because they also do bad things. Like you could look at the founders of America, right? They own slaves, but that doesn't mean that they also didn't have good ideas, you know? They didn't all work out.
Yeah, Jefferson was about as liberty-minded as one could be.
Mm-hmm.
And he had slaves.
So, yeah, people have faults. Everybody has a fault. I'll find one in myself eventually.
Yeah. And the interesting is, did you want me to play that other clip before the Tate one?
No, let's just go into number 9.
Got it.
Yeah. So we're getting back to kind of the difference between men and women. In this one, he's talking about feminine leaders. So this might play into what I Am said.
100%.
We don't hate men. Look, Kier's a man, but he's not masculine. They hate men who act masculine. They like the men who act like girls because they're eunuchs. They like the eunuchs and the girls. They don't like the real masculine men. And there's not a single leader in Europe which is a masculine man. Europe is a feminine continent. And the problem with femininity as a whole is that as their emotions change, their obligations change. It's the masculine imperative to make a promise and make a pact. And even if your emotions change, you stick to your word. That is masculine. Female is, I love you so much right now. I'll never do everything for you. I'll die for you because I love you. As soon as she stops loving you, everything's out the window. Nothing matters. Her words don't matter. All that matters are her feelings. The problem that Zelensky has now is his allies are women, which means right now they feel like helping it, which means they'll make him a whole bunch of promises. They mean what they say. They're not lying. They mean it right now. But when their feelings change, everything changes.
All right. A couple of things in there, man. Like, one, are people trying, maybe this is too obvious of a question, but are people trying to make men weak so that they can just control them?
Maybe not intentionally, but as the ebb and flow of the cycle of life goes. Remember Robert, who's the guy who did a free will thing where there was a baboon, there's some kind of baboon tribe. They got sick. All the aggressive male baboons died. And then it was real gentle baboons. And that's how they chose their mates going forward, is the gentleness, because there was a change. But in this case, it's like the softness comes with the ease of life. Like, we can't knock people over the head and drag them to the cave anymore. I mean, we can't even ask them out in person.
Yeah.
Like,
but then you see that in selection by women, right? That they're not attracted to these guys that are useless and helpless, right? Even if they end up settling down with one of them, they have, they'll bring in a bull to come have sex with them while their husband watches or something. I
mean, it's crazy. And yeah, I don't know. So women will claim, like, let's be honest, women will claim they'd want their best friend. I'm sorry, ladies. Your man cannot be your fucking best friend. Your best friend is general, and it can be the same. It can be somebody of a different sex, but generally your best friend is whoever you went through the hardest times in your life with. That's who your best friend is. And that's the person that can pretty much stab you in the heart and stab you in the back or whatever. Generally same sex though. Because the understanding of the challenges are similar. Because the challenges tend to be similar. Yes, there are variances. This is just, we're talking generalities here, right? As a general rule, men act differently. Men are interested in things. So dudes will huddle around a fucking car engine, sipping a beer, and not say a fucking word. Not say a word.
Yeah.
Right? And you got women in the back pouring a tea and just having, like, chuckling, having a great time, laughing it up. It's like, it's not good, bad, or indifferent. These are just how we are. Right? So
yeah, I just saw a meme like that. It's like men will stand around like this for hours and never ask each other's names. Like standing around drinking and working on a car or something. We'll talk and hang out, and I don't even need to ask your name. I don't know about your feelings really on things. It's just and like you said, things with my wife that she needs to talk to another woman about, because I don't understand. Like, I would like to. I love you, but I don't get it. So
it's not out of desire, and it's not out of lack of love. Like, you just are incapable of that exact need. Now you can support her and be like, I'm here for you if you need an ear just to talk. But if you're talking about a different level, there's a different level. You know what I mean? Of that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, they definitely soften us. Like, I talked about these kids. I had my best friend growing up back east has two kids just graduated high school, and it was something I was like, are they dating? When, like, a couple years ago, I'm like, are they dating? And he's like, well, no, you have to be non-binary or fluid or something. You can't be a boy looking to date a girl. I'm like, what? And I'm like, I never heard, you don't see that in Arizona schools. Don't get me wrong. I've not heard that. Like it's probably regional or whatever, but like some of these schools have gotten very corrupted with some of these ideologies. And you're just like, you have to be not what? Like just flu. Like, I don't even understand what that means. Right. Like, I don't know.
I have no idea.
Taking your responsibilities, right? How much,
Yeah.
how important is that? Loyalty. Stay true to your people and your commitments. That's another one I put down. And Andrew Tate,
So
that's a true one, loyalty.
I think they are trying. I think it's very intentional. Whoever they is, the people in charge, they really do want weakness. That's a goal. And like Tate was saying, like they want these men in charge, but they're not masculine. They're not men, you know, they're very feminine.
By the way, Robert Sapolsky was the baboon guy. Thank you, Justin. Justin saved the day. Did I bombard you with that one, Justin? I probably send everybody everything. You've seen Red Bull. Yeah. Okay, first of all, welcome to all. Welcome to an If by Whiskey. We're talking about masculinity. I'm with my good buddy, Drop the Mask, at Drop the Mask on X. Go over there. Drop the Mask Pod, at Drop the Mask Pod. Yes. Drop the Mask on Rumble. Sign up. Follow him. Follow this guy over here. And what it's so interesting when I go down the rabbit hole, how much shit do I just bomb? I just drop on you. I'm like, I'm watching these 3 things right now. Gush. And you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Oh, and then it's like from free will to consciousness over to this. And then and anyway, so I totally understand when I mention something and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's me. Foul on me. So anyway.
Yeah. Some of the things I'm like, I just don't have space in my brain for that right now. I'll park it.
I'm losing song lyrics. They're getting pushed out.
Yeah. So. Anyway, yeah, we got one more Tate clip. Then we can start wrapping up pretty soon, I think.
Yeah.
One more thing. This one, he's on Piers Morgan.
Emotional as a society, crying too much about everything. Has she got a point?
She's completely right. And the dangerous thing about overly emotional men is that they're dangerous. They're genuinely dangerous. This is what's crazy. All these people who talk about toxic masculinity and how bad it is for men to be traditionally masculine. A traditionally masculine man does things he doesn't feel like doing because it is his duty to do them. He charges into the building because it is his duty. Not because he feels like it, because it is his duty. We're now teaching the new generation of men that they don't have duty and they can just act on their feelings and act how they feel, and they don't have to act as a man should. Do you know what happens when you get men who just act how they feel? You get school shooters, you get violence, you get rapists. Men who do not control their emotions are dangerous. If you find a man who is stoic, he's not going to hurt people. He's going to sit and think about his actions very carefully, and he's going to be a good man who protects and provides for his family. You find a man who just acts out on impulse and does whatever he feels like, you're going to find a dangerous man. Sitting here telling men to cry more and act with their feelings, and it's okay to feel this way, that way, etc., and have no self-control. That is why we have the problems we have in the world. Absolutely not wrong. So when they talk about toxic masculinity, they have it completely inversed on its head, completely not wrong. We need to be teaching stoicism. We need to be teaching young men to understand that the world is very, very difficult. It's hard to be a man. You're going to feel bad sometimes. You just suck it up and perform anyway.
Yeah, there we go. So dangerous. I mean, he talks about dangerous in the opposite way. Like people who are weak become dangerous because they act on impulse, because they're not in control. So this is kind of the opposite of what Peterson was talking about, where you should have the potential to be dangerous, but you shouldn't be so weak that you become dangerous that way. It's like the opposite end of the spectrum.
Right. And with the strength in the danger comes the strength needed to control the danger. And what I think is these men they're not as strong as traditional men, but they're still men, but they're somewhat emotional, which makes them extremely more dangerous because they're 3/4 man with emotional tendencies versus all man with stoic tendencies, if that makes kind of a sense.
Yeah.
Because regardless, a man on a tirade is more dangerous than a woman on a tirade. Like, you know, it just starts going berserk, just absolutely berserk. It's just a physical thing. It's not, just a general.
Yeah. So these couple of clips probably make Tate look pretty good, but he's also got some bad shit.
Yeah, how can you not take good points away from that? He's
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that? You tell me, what are your thoughts on what emotion being dangerous for a man? What are your thoughts?
I mean, what do you like? Do you think men should share their feelings? Do you think that's appropriate? Is that masculine? Is that something men should be doing? Because Tate kind of says, no, we don't want you like feeling your feelings and acting on them anyway. But should we at least talk about them?
Yeah. And that I struggle with that because I'm not gonna lie, I have like depression issues. Like, so I remember you've met my girlfriend, but I remember waking up on a Saturday morning looking at her for like with the most stoic thing, no emotion, going, I'm telling you right now, I'm feeling very depressed. I don't like how I'm feeling. Like, I'm able to be complete and be like, but I can imagine how horrifying that felt for her to hear. Cause like the first thing you do is internalize. What did I do? What am I, how can I fix? I can't fix it. What am I can't, you know what I mean? Like we all do that, right? Because it's out of love. But like, it's hard to express sometimes where it's like, I can be very pragmatic about a very emotional thing for her. But let me tell you how much time and work that took on my, like I've dragged myself through some very challenging emotional, like mental, psychological things to get to this point.
Yeah.
And I'd like us to be this way, but I think you have to always work at it if that's what you want. But I found myself to
this sharing happened after you guys had been together for a long time, right? This wasn't just like
absolutely, yeah.
On your first date, you're not like, I gotta be honest with you, I'm super depressed and actually I don't like myself. Like, you're not gonna do that.
No, I did tell her about my weird shit though, because she'd have to live with it. So I did mention the weird stuff that I get. But yeah, to your point, you do put a little bit of your best foot forward for sure. But like the point is, like, I want you to know how I'm feeling. I want you to know 100% it's not you. I know how you're gonna feel about that statement. Like, you know what I mean? It's like I've thought about all these things before telling you this, but I can't not tell you because if you're gonna sense that I'm different. And you're going to ask me, and I'm just going to say I'm fine or something. So I might as well just kind of just stoically point it out now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. So I think there's a time and a place for it. I think men do need to share, but yeah, who you share with and when, and you know what the context is around it. I think that can say a lot because women will always say like, "Oh, you should share your feelings and you should talk to me." And sometimes when you do that, it backfires. It's really not what they want, even if they say they do.
Right. And I do think, to your point, I think to be more nuanced, maybe the sharing should be among men.
Could be.
Once again, to the same point of like, I've heard of these men groups. I know a lot of church groups do them. I've not been in one, but I've heard some really positive things about these men groups where they literally, they'll talk about stuff that they maybe should share with their wife or something, but it would freak them out. If you ladies do not ask what's inside a man's head, it's either nothing or fucking atomic bombs. That's literally all it is.
Yeah.
It's either nothing or fucking every explosion in the entire world. That's all we are. We are empty or just great. That's just it. Sorry. But we just be patient with us. Have some grace.
Yeah. And being able to share definitely shows some confidence. I'm stealing Zach's comment.
Oh, please. Yeah. So,
but
well, thank you. And I think part of this is like, once again, you and I are messengers. We had different ideas before. No one starts out the way we think. We got there through some variance of learning, experience, whatever. And if we don't show where we fucked up or where we thought different, say the same points, like we have to show that accountability of, hey, we got that wrong. And this is where we steer differently, right?
Yeah. So we're running low on time here. I think we could start getting to the end, maybe to sum it up from a bird's eye view. What I think masculinity is kind of 3 stages. You got to be able to take care of yourself, and you'll need a collection of different traits and skills, abilities to do that. But that's the first thing. You're not going to become a man until you can take care of yourself. If you're dependent on somebody else, that kind of just throws it out the window. And then take care of your family. start a family, take care of them, your spouse, your kids, whatever that looks like to you. That's going to be different for everybody. I'm not saying you have to necessarily have kids or anything. It's just that's part of it. And then after, if you can do that successfully, then start thinking about the world around you, your neighborhood, your community, your city. Think about how you can make a better place, and not in the way of like a politician, how they want to take control and do things for other people and steal people's money and then feel like they're good because they do that. Take care of your community. Go do something for people, serve people. I think that's, if you're developed enough that you can take care of yourself and your family and then still have time to help other people, that really, to me, that's the biggest part of being a man, being an adult.
Yeah. And to your point, it's not just clean your room. It's like, you got to put your oxygen mask on first.
Mm-hmm.
You're too busy
it has to be in
scrambling,
that order.
doing everybody else's. You're going to pass out and then no one gets help. You got to take it on your shoulders. Be the first point of contact. Always be the first, shield, whatever that is, whether it's a weight or a load or a force. You have to be there. And it is a duty. There is a duty aspect to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because it's gotten us here.
Yeah, because we live in a world that's pretty easy. Like, life is pretty easy, at least to do the bare minimum, that people just kind of get complacent. They get stuck in that, and they don't ever get to the point where they're really taking care of themselves. They're really taking care of a family. They're still dependent on people. So yeah, Justin says, I think being responsible for others is one of the things that forces young men into becoming a man. Absolutely. Yeah.
How many people I've not had that pleasure of being a parent, but I've heard fathers be like, I'm fucked, and then go, holy shit, everything makes sense now. I fucking know exactly what I need to do. Like, I've just heard that story so many times from friends of mine that are just like, there's a purpose there, and it probably is the strongest purpose. It really is, because it is you. It's literally you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know.
Biological.
It's
Yeah. That goes down to your deepest instinct, I think.
Yeah.
So we got one more, Williamson, number 11. So this is just kind of wrapping it up, talking about the positive parts of masculinity that I think people need to remember, because there's so much focus on the negative in the discourse today that it's good to remember that there are positive parts of it.
100%. I think, like what you said, is like, these traits are just traits. How they are used is like a tool, right? You can use a gun to protect your property and family, but you can also use it to go on a rampage. Same thing.
This is taking something which is uncertain. It could go either way. This desire for mastery, for conquer, for achievement, and using it to propel you forward, and hopefully making the world a better place. There's no reason that your desire to pursue and conquer and become masterful in a thing has to leave the world worse. It's not some weird zero-sum thing where, in order for you to become better, you need to take from the world. I think it's additive.
That's it, man. When you really take care of yourself, that's additive. That it adds to the world. Just the simple fact of not being a leech on the people around you already adds to the world. And then when you take it to the next level, you really can make exponential change in the world and make it positive. And again, it's got to be voluntary. I'll take it back to the libertarian side. It can't be by force. You can't take people's money and make the world better. It doesn't work.
It really doesn't. And to your point, that community in the libertarian world works with that accountability and with all those kinds of pieces as well.
Zach says, always, gentlemen, you help me procrastinate. You're very welcome for that. That's what we're all really doing here. We're all procrastinating, getting real shit done in the real world.
100%. And once again, we are so grateful. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another If by Whiskey. This was once again an If by Masculinity.
Go
Before we
follow
call it
the
a
If
night,
by Whiskey channel, guys. We got a whole channel
Yes.
set up on Rumble. Go follow
Please.
Mark at Mark Sean Pulse on X, the Knocked Conscious podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms. Give him a follow. Give him some likes. Go subscribe to his content. Send him a buck or two. He deserves it. He's been doing this a long time.
well, sir, any rants? By the way, thank you to Zach. Zach ranted us $1 on Rumble today, so that's going in our
Breaking in the
coffers.
Benjamins.
So I've got a screenshot I'll send you, sir, so we can keep accountability, because I am also agorist and voluntarious, and I am not going to mess up with our social contract, because I think we got something here, man. I really think this has been awesome, and I'm really grateful for doing this and the name change. Does everyone like the name change? We should probably ask some people, but thank you again. 35 people on tonight on a Monday night. Thank you for sharing your time with us. We're really so grateful for that.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. It's been great. We got I Am for I Am coming up on Thursday. We did switch to Mondays, but we're doing a special one for him. So come check us out this Thursday, same time. And maybe we can finish off with this clip. We'll leave people to think about, is this positive masculinity or is this toxic?
This one's an interesting one. We're going to leave it on this one. Thank you again for joining us Thursday again. I Am, 5 p.m. Arizona time, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk about intellectual property. I think you, Jason, and I think I Am are going to give me so many things to think about. And I'm more going to absorb more there in that one. So we leave you with this clip. This clip, you'll understand. If you're a man, you'll understand.
He used to just put a wrench, a stick, and a belt on the table and just say choose.
I gotta go with the belt there, Vanna.
I used to go with the wrench.
Why the wrench?
Because fuck him. That's why.
Because fuck him. That's why.
Fuck him. And I think Dave Smith used this an analogy, if I may, just to kind of put a pin in it as to where we heard this. I think he was talking to himself or he was on with Rogan, and he's like, imagine you own a home, your grandparents, for 100 years, and some stranger comes and goes, you don't live here anymore. They take your home. You have no recourse to get that home back. And you get to the point where you go, I'm going to burn it the fuck down. And the guy goes, that's not really rational. And you're like, yeah, but is it? I mean, it's not like you're getting it anyway. So like, it's not like you have access regardless of its ability to be there. So what is the ability to be there for? I guess if it makes me, you know what I mean? Like, oh man, humanity is so tricky, ladies and gentlemen. Would you choose
crazy
the wrench?
because my wife and I just watched this movie last week. We really
no
just
kidding.
watched it.
Really?
Before they talked about it. Yeah.
Oh, no way. So did that part like do anything during, or were you just kind of watching it?
Oh yeah. That part always gets me. It's just like, oh yeah, fuck him. That's why.
I think I could be driven to the wrench, but I don't think that's my go-to.
I wouldn't. No, that wouldn't be me, but I'm like, okay, that's a strong guy there.
You know, it's weird. Is it weird that you wish you could be? Because I kind of wish I could be.
Yeah, of course. I wish I could.
Right? Like, okay, so that's masculinity right there. Like, wishing to be the dude who fucking accepts the wrench. Like, that's fucking masculinity. Because living this life is fucking hard, whether you're a man or a woman. How about that? I think we just define masculinity, accepting the wrench.
Taking the wrench.
Asking
That's
for
it.
the wrench.
We wasted 2 hours just to tell you, take the wrench.
We were going to start the whole show with that, and now we could have ended with it, or now we ended. So
I think it's a good ending.
Gentlemen,
Let's call it there.
Sir, thank you so much. Once again, I Am on Thursday. We've got another one on Monday, and then we've got a Friends the next Thursday. We got a busy couple weeks here. So thank you, everyone, to whoever joined on. Please drop the mask on Rumble at Drop the Mask Pod on X. Please follow, subscribe, link. You've got a locals too, right? On your Rumble channel?
Yeah, dropthemaskpod.locals.com. I'm working on some new stuff. I've been taking a little bit of a break from my normal podcast, but I got some things cooking, so hang in there.
I did see something you shared with me, and I know nothing. I know nothing. I'll be like Schultz from Hogan's Heroes. But is that something you're still pursuing? Because I thought that was an awesome idea.
It's gonna be cool. I'm excited about it. So
Cool.
Yeah.
I think, and yeah, I'm really excited. So keep sharing. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We figured this thing out. Jason has the intro. He created that intro. Roman of Roaming Bandits, Roman Garcia. He created the music. Jason put it all together. We're gonna have the same outro as we did intro, but Jason has committed because he's a man and he's masculine. He's committed to doing a different outro. So we are going to do something slightly different. But thank you again to everyone who joined. Stick around. It's been another If by Whiskey. We're going to have another one Thursday with William of I Am, and it's going to be about intellectual property. If by intellectual property. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. Jason, thank you, sir. Have yourself a good evening.
Adios.
All right. Take care.